नारायणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहनौ भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Let us see where we are. We will chant from verse 62. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते. This belongs to a group of verses as we saw last time. And what are these group of verses? This group of verses that talks about the derailment. The derailment from one's sankalpa. Sankalpa is what? Okay, I don't want samsara. That is the sankalpa. No more samsara. That is the sankalpa. I don't want samsara. And what is samsara? This life of just complaining all the time, crying all the time. Don't have this, don't have that, don't want this, don't want that. All these things, crying. Samsara is discontentment. And the discontentment comes from where? From here. It's centered on the self, and from here it exudes and goes out like a bad odor and makes the whole surroundings rotten, feel rotten. Discontent centered on the I because of again Atma Ajnanam. I don't know I am the center. So if I don't know I'm the center, then they will be discontent centered on the I. Naturally, what else can there be? And then I am not okay. And if I'm not okay, then what? Nobody is okay. Nothing is okay. Time is not okay. Place is not okay. I am not okay. Nothing is okay. And so the discontentment rises because there is a kind of a polarity between the self. I mean, the self here, not Satchidananda self. Self here means the one that is claiming the body, mind, self, senses to be its own. Self as in ahankara based. The one that is identified with the body, mind, sense complex. And so that self, between that self and the Jagat and the laws, the universal laws, which means Ishvara, there is a kind of a rub. And why is there rub? Rub is there because there is non-understanding of the I. So a discontented I, let loose in the Jagat, finds the Jagat to be a source of fear and discontent. And the discontent I let loose in the in the universe finds the source of the universe, the universal laws, fit for complaint, fit for non-understanding, fit for all kinds of unease, dis-ease. And so here, that trajectory of derailment is being discussed. And what is this derailment? Is that there is a person who is very strong-willed and who has a good heart, dharma. Good heart means given to dharma. So strong-willed, one given to dharma, two, and then karma yogi, three, and then four, dedicated to moksha through atma jnanam. All four things are in place. Still, even the best of the persons, yati, a person who is working towards spiritual growth, emotional fulfillment, emotional maturity, still can be hijacked. That is what we saw. Still can be hijacked. Not somebody who is wishy-washy. That person, of course, doesn't even feature in the Bhagavad Gita. Even the person well trained, whose emotions are well under one's management, can be hijacked. And then that the way of hijacking is shown. We already saw the first verse, dhyayatah, meaning this small flights of fancy, because in the beginning we are not talking of a full-fledged desire. What are we talking about? Oh, it would be nice, dot, dot, dot. It would be nice to buy this. It would be nice to buy that. Whatever it is. It would be nice to have this. And then, some things you see on the television and they look very, very nice. And they look so, and they say that, oh, this gadget will revolutionize your kitchen. And then it is good for you. Air fryer. Okay, so this is all somebody's experience I'm narrating. Somebody told me. So they thought about air fryer, and then they thought about the next thing to think about after air fryer or even before air fryer is one's cholesterol levels in the body, and that's what makes you think of air fryer. And because then they advertise just 2 drops of oil and all your samosas and all your pakoras and what else do these Americans, what is that called? Those things, potato chips, French fries, and not American, French. Okay, so French fries and All these things you can just do with just a little, just spray of oil. You don't need anything. Hair fryer. Okay, then you do research, hair graying research. You do Google this brand, that brand, and everything, and you finally get one that you think is good for you and your family. And then they they are not. These air fryers are not there for. I don't think they're made for Indian dishes. Okay, yeah, samosas, pakoras, all these things. They don't. They require they require oil, and they're going to get their oil. They're not going to just do this. It will not taste the same. And so then one is disappointed. Air fryer to became a hair fryer because one got all bent out of shape, then returned it. Maybe the problem is with the make, another make like this. So it's a huge distraction. Because first, I would like to have an air fryer. Is a fancy. It's not a full-fledged desire yet. And then after that, what happens? You dwell on it. You dwell on it. You dwell on it. Dwelling. And then you say, okay, this is what, I would like to have it. Oh, but that means cutting something else out of my life. Okay, I have to make that decision. And then that is done. And then the air fryer comes. And then what? Nothing turns out the way it should be. And then the air fryer is returned. Now what? At least in America, you can return things. In India, they tell you when you buy it, you have purchased it permanently. You cannot return it. Even moksha may be impermanent, but what you have purchased at the store is permanent, permanently yours. All these electronic items you cannot return. Just because on a whim, I changed my mind. I don't want it. Somebody gave it to me as Diwali present and now I'm returning it. No such options are there. Very few options like this. And so therefore, this is the reality of anything. Anything looks good in the thought. Anything looks good on paper. Anything looks much better on TV and then in your own fancy than in reality. But why? Why am I constantly disappointed? Why do things look better in the imagination always? Because the objective item, the object, is got a paint, a patina of subjectivity that you have projected. Your own Maya, in the form of Atma Ajnanam, has projected a subjectivity onto that object. So there is the object and there is the varnish of subjectivity, which makes it look shiny. Your own subjectivity. That the air fryer is you justify the air fryer in the example by saying I'm eating healthy. This is what commitment to healthy eating looks like. And this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to reduce my cholesterol levels. And this is such an elaborate justification. Think about the other simpler way to reduce cholesterol levels. So instead of going to buy the air fryer, say bye to the samosas, to the French fry, to whatever all these things, fried things. It's a much simpler way. So easy to cultivate, and it's much simpler. Doesn't cause hair raising, all kinds of. You don't have to do research. You don't have to spend money. Instead, so whenever you want to buy, say bye, you just make bye twice. Okay, yeah. Spending is different. Small little things. And so whenever you want to buy, just double it. Bye. That's all, and that's much easier. and you don't have to think of all these things. You cannot operate, and you don't know how. And then you are then see, then after the air fryer is gone back, the cholesterol level has not changed, number one. Plus you have a new complex. What is the new complex? I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to operate this machinery. What complex? This is what is called samsara. Okay, so just in case one missed the definition earlier, this is samsara. Anything is like this. Anything you buy is like this, because then that itself needs to be, then it's a big mess. Then you have to clean it, and then you have to put it away, and then you have to do something, and then of course, being an appliance, it degrades, and then you have to deal with all that. And so here, the small flight of fancy itself must be cut and nipped even before it is in the bud. Nip it, bye bye. And then how to say bye bye? It seems so easy in the class to say bye bye. Yes, we can all do it together. We can wave and say bye bye. But after the class is the problem. Here we are all strong, and here we have one another. What to do afterwards? There's all these things. There are gaps, and there are gaps in self restraint, and there are gaps in this. So I just tend to fall. What to do? Very simple. Very, very simple. Same thing that you do to the television when you are watching something that you don't want to watch. You are just flipping the channel, something looks interesting, you stick there for 5 minutes, and then horror of horrors, you realize it's a horror film and you are alone and it is at night. And so what do you do at that moment? It's a no-brainer. You flip the channel, you click immediately and change the channel. And then what? Then something else comes. Oh, it's same old, same old. I know how this ends. Why? Because it is a rerun. Rerun we have in our lives. And so that also, nahi chahiye. I don't want that. And so flip the channel again. No more rerun. And then finally you land on something you want to watch. It doesn't make you agitated. It is, I can't imagine what that might be, but nonetheless, let us give it some thing. Maybe it's a channel that is in India. They have some channel that have some Gita talks and bhajans and everything. Maybe it is that kind of a channel, and it is bringing out the best in you. Or if it's not bringing out the best in you, at least it is not bringing out the worst in you. At least you are calm and you're not agitated, and then you let that channel stay. Same thing you have to do. Same thing, exact same thing. That is all what is needing to be done. And then what is this? That is what does that look like? It looks like stopping the mind that is going there, and then bringing it back and doing something else. Because sometimes it is not easy to bring it back. Why? Because it is obsessed with that thing. Whether it is air fryer or hair fryer. Oh, is there such a thing as a hair fryer? Sure, there is. There's some long thing that people put in the air and in the hair and then plug it in. What is that called? I don't know, but that is what it is. It's a hair fryer, air fryer, whatever it is. So that is that is what one has to, that we change the channel. Get up from where you are sitting or whatever you are doing. There is some trigger, and that trigger, being part of the unconscious mind, is invisible. Don't go saying where is the unconscious mind, how to bring out the trigger. This is not the time to play Agatha Christie. Okay, this is not the time to play some kind of a sleuth. You're not trying to go in and look at the trigger. That is of no use. And in fact, the trigger is elusive. That's why it is called unconscious. Hello, because you are unconscious of it. So the trigger is hidden. It is gone into invisibility. It is in the realm of Bhagavan, so to speak. So what to do? Whatever you are doing, stop that action. Even if you're twiddling your fingers, stop that. Maybe that's a trigger. Stop, get up, walk around, jump around, change the channel. Change. Change the channel here. Oh, next channel rerun. Okay, don't want that. Change the channel again. Change the channel again. Change the channel again. Change, change, change. Go for a walk, do pranayama, take some deep breaths, phone a friend. That is also there. Very good. Phone a friend. Phone a friend, phone a family member, for anything that is away from the triggers. And the trigger is very, very, what is that called? Sneaky. Sneaky. It just slowly comes in and then, as a mainstay. And so therefore, even though I do not know the name, the gotra, the horoscope of the trigger, I don't know any of these things. But I know that something suddenly made me fixated on this object. Mind you, the object can also be a person. The object can also be a relationship. The object can also be an event or a circumstance. The object can also be dwelling. The object in question could be dwelling on a situation that one had to confront earlier. So one is keeping on running it in the mind and having a lot of regret. Oh, why did I do this? Kimaham sadhu na karavam, kimaham papam karavam iti. The Taittiriya Upanishad says this. Why did I do the wrong thing? Why didn't I do the right thing? And so these are all is the Vishaya. The word Vishaya in this verse has to be interpreted in a very broad way. Otherwise, we'll go away thinking it's just an object of desire. But we have to expand it and understand how the object may not always be an object. It may be a thing, it may need not be a thing. It could be an event, it could be a circumstance, it could be a trigger, it could be a relationship, it could be a person. So that is all the whole gamut of ways in which the object is there. The object is already latent. The desire for that object, desire includes dvesha, okay? So I'm using it loosely. Desire for the object, meaning the desire to either obtain the object or to go far away from the object. Both are desires. So that raga and that dvesha, the desire to be far away from the object, in case of certain objects like cockroaches, scorpions, etc., undesirable objects. And then the desire to be close to and to be one with certain other objects of delight, etc. Both of those are already there in latent and dormant in the heart. And there are certain triggers, and the triggers are either external or internal, or a combination of the two, where the internal desire hooks into an external trigger and manifests itself. And so what is an example of so the latent desire is already there. And then what is an example of a trigger? Something you see, something you hear. And then maybe it is nothing to do with the aforementioned example of the air fryer. And maybe some people use it very nicely also, but still, something you see, something you hear. So there are two desires there. One is the desire to not confront certain issues. That is the desire, one latent desire. Another is the desire, therefore, the frantic effort to distract oneself. And that distraction comes from any kinds of things in the world where there are myriad of names, forms, colors, shapes, items. So it's very easy to hook into anything. So you see, the desire to frantically avoid certain emotions, that raga hooks into the objects outside, and the objects start looking good, even though they are not really. I mean, you don't really need them. You start wanting things that you really don't ever need, and you might hardly ever use. And so really speaking, it's not the desire for the object, it is a displaced desire, a desire for the subject. The subject, the I, is screaming for attention. It's screaming to be heard. It is screaming to be attended to. Something is not right. The inner child is wanting to be soothed. That's all it wants. But then what happens? Just like we distract a crying child with a balloon, with a toy, same thing we are doing right now, except our toys have become electronics because now we are no longer satisfied with balloons. So our devices are complex because our desires are complex. That is what happens. Dhyayatah Vishayan Pumsah. So this is the first level, is like it's a flight of fancy. Then Sangahateshu Vishayeshu Upajayate. Upajayate means is born. So the more I think of something, the more the desire takes a hold in the heart. The more I dwell on something, the greater the desire for that, because one is keeping on doing japa of that thing. So when you do japa, you become one with Bhagavan. That's why mantra japa is so wonderful. Meditation, even if you sit for 1 minute, is wonderful because there is this repeating the nama, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and all the other thoughts are put away. I ask the mind to think only of Om Namah Shivaya. Excuse me. And when there are distractions, I bring the mind back. There is a certain tranquility. And then here, the tranquility is gone because I'm in search of something that appears to be elusive, that appears to be not easily gained. So it becomes exotic. And the more I think it is exotic, the more I want it, because the scarcity mentality kicks in. It's now or never. And the corporate world knows how to extract and manipulate that scarcity mentality, how to bring it out more and more in you. The corporate capitalist world knows this extremely well. What do? They just tell you this. They just say, oh, this is a limited edition, meaning they will have manufactured tons of them. Limited edition. If you don't get it now, you cannot get it at all. Once I was invited to New York for a conference, and it was supposed to be in 2 venues. It was not very far, the other venue. So one venue, it was a Buddhist temple. We went there and prayed, and then they had some service. So we all spoke something there. It was some interfaith event. And then New York City. And then from there, there was a bus arranged to take us to the conference venue where we were all going to talk and spend the rest of the day. Now then the news came that all the streets from here to there are closed. You will not be able to get across. I said, what happened? Apple has released a new version of the what is it called? Not phone, the watch. Yeah, I watch, and I just had to sit and watch. And when they told me all this, and I watched some new thing had been released, and then and it was a limited edition. There was only going to be 450 of them in the first batch. And that too in certain colors and certain everything, and with certain features. so many gigabytes of memory and all these things. Well, I don't even know what it does, but whatever it is, I know that people talk on it as though it's the phone. That also I have seen. It does a lot of things. And so it is being released. And if there is a traffic jam, you will not be able to go across. The bus will certainly not be able to get through. So there were 40 of us. How to get 40 people across town? Then you have to rely on the cab drivers who know other alternative routes. So four people in each taxi, 10, 12 taxis we had to engage. And then we had to go, and everybody came at different time, because depending on the kind of cab driver they had, who was very savvy or who was not very clever or something like that. So the whole city has been brought to a standstill until the last of those blessed watches were sold. This is what is called obsession. This is the obsession based on a scarcity mentality that it will not be there. That is the fear. And that fear is there since childhood, since babyhood. Then, the mother is going away. What about my next feed time? Who will feed me? What will happen? Oh my God, she's gone behind the door and the door has closed. The child has no sense of time. Mother just went to bathroom. Okay, but the child has no sense of time. Oh no, the door is closed. What will happen? I'm hungry. That's the scarcity, that insecurity which is latent, is brought out by the corporate world, in which into which we buy into. And so let us now bid a big bye-bye to that as well. No more buying into gimmickry. Because again, 3 days later you go there, all the stock is still rotting there. Nobody is even looking at it, because something better has come. And if you really want that, you can get it, maybe even at a discount. That is what one has to understand. And then the thought of not getting that leads straight to anger. Lord Krishna says, leads to anger. Why does it lead to anger? Because behind every episode of anger is a thwarted desire. A thwarted desire is what leads to anger. Thwarted desire. A desire that is not addressed. That's what leads to anger. Again, think of a 2-year-old. It'll throw things, it'll throw everything, including a tantrum, right outside the toy shop. Why? Because the parents said, you cannot have this. We are going to buy you just one thing and that's enough. Right outside the grocery store. Everybody knows this. That's because they have no, the anger controls them. If one cannot manage the anger takes the person away. Away from what? Away from one's own values. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha means delusion. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti vibhramaha means if I let this anger and the subsequent delusion continue, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to forget myself. I'm going to forget who I am. I'm going to forget dharma. I'm going to forget what I'm here to do. I'm going to forget everything. That is what I'm going to forget. And then that, so Smriti Vibhrama it is called. Smriti Bhramshat. When that Smriti Vibhrama takes place, when one forgets the purpose, that, the certain values, what is my purpose, what is my goal in life, what is important to me, all these things, when I forget, something very interesting happens. Buddhinashaha. Buddhinasha means the reasoning gets affected. The reasoning gets affected. There is no reasoning anymore, because one is indoctrinated by one's own pet peeves and subjective, desires and operations. One is under a spell, like in the, what is that called, Cold War time. They had these agents. They had some kind of sleeper agents. They were called sleeper agents. Means they were already programmed and then let loose in the society. And some trigger word, they were hypnotized and programmed and everything. And some trigger words had to be said. Very innocuous trigger words. And then like the sky is blue today, that's all they had to hear, and they would just they would as though wake up like a zombie, and then go do whatever they were told to do, go kill whoever they were told to kill. So like this, one is one has become indoctrinated by one's the force of those desires, the force of that kind of a wonderful dovetailing between one's desires and the corporate world and everything. And because of that, what is that? Smriti Vibhramaha. Who am I? What is all this? I don't know. And then Smriti Bhramshat, when that happens, Buddhi Nashaha. The reasoning goes. And here we will see the Bhashya. Adi Shankara says, Guru napi drohayati, means the person even fires off the Guru. The person tells the guru who is supposed to be, a very sacred presence in one's life. One says, "You are fired. I'm going to go for another guru. Don't want you." Why? Because you're not buying into my sickness. And if you're not buying into my sick fantasy of all these things in this world that I have made for myself, sick fantasy because it is making one sick. That's why. If the guru is not buying into that, then the guru is fired. You are no longer my teacher, or you are an idiot. So this is the derailment. The derailment is takes on this kind of a thing, and therefore it is important to there are many, we'll see that there are many places where we can stop it and check it. First is we have talked that at length at the level of dhyanam, at the level of fancy. And then even at the level when the fancy, let's say, it escapes you and then it becomes a full-fledged desire, even there, with the help of Ishvara, with the help of prayer, one can stop it. Take this desire away. Take this strong desire away. I don't want this, I won't have it, let it go, I let it go. And then you can also practice deferred gratification. This is what they say even in child rearing practices. Don't give the child anything it wants all the time immediately. Because when it grows into an adult, then it will not be well adjusted adult. Well adjusted means, the world is not like that. The world is not your oyster. The world is not going to give you what you want immediately. If you want something right now, the world is not going to give you that. And so, therefore, as an adult, one can get disappointed frequently and get the emotions can get dysregulated. Therefore, the parents are told these days, if they ask 10 times, give it once. And if they ask for, today, give it day after tomorrow. Deferred gratification. And so then the child needs to learn how to regulate its own emotions, to self-soothe, and to look forward to something, and to be grateful that, oh, this has come after so much hard work and so much wanting. So this is something I really want. The child is much more responsible for its own wants. And so even as an adult, deferred gratification works. I want a samosa right now. In the rainy season, it sounds wonderful. But then it's not really good for me. So what? Okay, I'll have it after 2 hours. And then 2 hours later, sometimes you forget about it. And then when 2 hours come, you can say, okay, maybe now it is too late. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. And this is built into the psyche. This is built into the Indian psyche because of these kinds of teachings. You don't have to study Bhagavad Gita, Bhashya to know this. It is there in the culture. It is there in the culture. As children, we used to visit the grandmother's house, and the grandmother used to have lovely goodies high up away from the reach of the children. All kinds of homemade snacks, and in big, big dabbas, big, big containers would be there. And then at a given time, maybe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they used to be dispensed to each child. In small measures, in small quantity, moderation was the key. And then supposing a child said, can I have one more of this? Can I have one more of that? I really like that. Well, today it is done, the grandmother would say. Let us be alive tomorrow, and then we can revisit this. In every household we have heard this. Let us be alive. Today is okay. Tomorrow, who knows? Tomorrow, if one may not be on the same plane, one may not recognize where one wakes up the next day. And tomorrow, maybe I have a stomach ache, and maybe the desire for that is already taken care of by Bhagavan. I don't even want it. So if everything is okay, and if there is no stomach ache, if I recognize the room and the bed when I wake up, meaning I'm still on the earthly plane, then yes, we can have again tomorrow. But there was no hoarding. Can I have it to keep and have it tomorrow? No, right now. And this is there. And the same thing the Bhagavad Gita says. Even when it's a full-fledged desire, there are ways of calming it down. Changing the channel helps. Deferred gratification definitely works. Through those things, I have a say over the desires. Let's say it got slipped and then anger came. Anger came means anger just happens. Nobody wants to be angry. But then when the anger happens, in the beginning, one recognizes it after it has happened. And then there is remorse, because inevitably one has targeted others who don't deserve to be targeted by one's anger, or one has harmed oneself by one's own anger. So then, with a little more Bhagavad Gita, with a little more spiritual growth, you see it happening as it comes. So the first level, I recognize the anger after I'm angry. And sometimes I don't recognize it at all. The other person says, your voice has gone up. You are looking red as a tomato, and you are talking loudly. You are making threatening actions with your hands. You are menacingly coming close towards me. See, this is how one recognizes. Somebody has to tell. Then later on, perhaps with some practice, one recognizes the anger after one gets angry. That is the next stage of growth. That is also growth, no problem. Then the other next level of growth is that, one says, oh, I'm going there. I'm screaming. I'm about to scream. I'm about to say something hurtful. One says it anyway, but then one recognizes it as it is happening. Again, a feather in the cap. Oh, what is the use if you recognize as it is happening? Still, it is useful. That means you're getting to know certain aspects of the psyche, certain aspects of the unconscious mind are being revealed to you. That is good news. All around, it is very good news. Then, the next stage is I recognize before it happens. I recognize my personal anger signs. What are they? The teeth are clenched. The fists are clenched. There is some kind of a hot feeling in the head. Different things for different people. Or I just feel like hitting something, somebody, something at any given time without reason. And so these are the signs I recognize, and I learn to work with the signs. Breathing really helps. Breathing into a paper bag helps a lot because you get some carbon dioxide. And that helps to calm down the head immediately. Just take some deep breaths, unclench all the clenched things, the teeth, the fists, whatever the body outside, unclench inside. Just say, right now, I'm not going to say anything because I am angry. Right now, I'm not going to do anything because I am angry. Right now, I'm not going to make any decision because I am angry. Breathing in, I recognize I am angry. Breathing out, I just let go of this anger. Breathing in, I recognize that the anger is coming. Breathing out, I love up this anger. The anger is nothing but a child who could not have its way, a child that was neglected, a child that was reprimanded for no reason. That is the angry. That is the angry one. I embrace it, love it up. I have compassion for my anger. And the same thing, the same kind of a open eye meditation along with the breathing works even when somebody else is angry at you. For no reason, you feel like somebody is targeting you. Breathing in, I recognize they have a background. Breathing out, they are angry. Breathing in, I recognize that they are angry. Breathing out, I vow, I make a sankalpa not to fuel their anger. Whatever it takes. Sometimes it takes getting up and leaving the room gently, removing yourself from the situation for the well being of yourself and the other. Breathing in, I recognize that they are angry. Breathing out, I remove, am not affected. I recognize I am not affected by their anger. This is the truth of you. You are not affected by somebody else's anger. You are never affected. Atma is free of your own anger and somebody else's anger also. So this way, even at the level of krodha, one can catch oneself back. One can bring oneself back through these kinds of, meditations, affirmations, etc. Very beautiful. Lovely affirmations, lovely meditations. You can write them for yourself, or you can borrow from some of the ones we have talked about and help yourself to get to the place where the anger remains and the anger is disarmed. So you are now dealing with a disarmed anger that does not lash out against others and that does not target oneself. Not blaming others, not targeting oneself. That is a neutralized anger. Anger is there, but then you are dealing with it. You write it out. You take a walk. You do things to neutralize that. Then it is now in your hands. Then krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha means one is deluded, means there is a certain kind of mm, a really difficult derailment. A derailment from which one is unable to extricate oneself. And that is a little difficult to extricate oneself. How to extricate oneself when one has gone so deep and then one is in the process of believing the lie. What is the lie? That I am no good, that I am targeted, that somebody else is out to get me. I am a victim of the circumstances. I never get my way. I am unloved. These are the lies. These are the lies. And these lies, one stops, when one starts believing in, that, then it is a little difficult. But still, for such, what's that, incidents of some moha, delusion, there is a way to bring oneself out. You can have something very powerful, like sometimes it could be a photograph or a murti, ishta devata, bhagavan, representation of bhagavan, or you can have something that is like a story or a role model, somebody that you really admire. You think of them at that time, or you look at some item belonging to them, especially if they are part of the family. You say, "Oh, this person was my ancestor, and this is how they led their lives." So then the memory comes back. The Smriti Vibhrama and the Sammoha, which are getting derailed, it comes back. Something powerful, something that will shake you out of that thing. And so that therefore it needs to be an item or something that you don't look at it every day. You only take it out on special occasions like this, and then only it works. Because if you look at it every day, it becomes nullified. It will not have that special effect. So it's something that you have that reminds you of who you are. You give that particular item the validation to remind you, and then it will remind you. It could be a stone, it could be a Shivalinga, it could be anything, something like that. So even at the level of this Smriti Bhramsha and Sammoha, one can extricate oneself slowly, even though it is difficult. Then finally comes Buddhi Nasha, and even the Lord says, when it comes to affecting the Buddhi, affecting one's thinking, one's intellect, one's reasoning, it is very difficult. Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, the whole person is as though destroyed. Not forever, in regard to this particular situation, in regard to this particular core issue or that desire. So there the derailment is complete. This is what Lord Krishna says, the derailment is totally complete. Why? Because, there is the buddhi has been involved. Buddhi has been involved. And then, so with these words, let us look at the Bhashya, very beautiful here and simple also. So it says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha. I'm reading the Bhashya for if the people who want to follow, if they have their own Bhashya, it is Bhashya for verse 63. Even if you don't have, doesn't matter. I'll just read and explain every word, so don't worry. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha he defines as avivekaha. Avivekaha means loss of discrimination, loss of reasoning with regard to what? Karya akarya vishayah avivekah. Karya akarya vishayeshu avivekah. Means, karya means what should be done by me. Akarya, what should not be done by me. There is an obfuscation. There is a non-clarity. What should be done, what should not be done, I don't know. That is delusion. That is delusion. Very beautiful definition of delusion. Kruddha hi sammudha san. Here is what I told you earlier. Kruddha hi sammudha san gurum api akroshati. Akroshati means insults. The guru becomes the target of one's wrath. Why? Because what should be done, what should not be done, one doesn't know. So guru means it's not somebody big. Guru means hitaishi, somebody who is your benefactor, somebody who always wants something good for you. That is the definition of guru. That is the definition of guru. Somebody who always wants the best for you. That is the guru. And then that guru is the one who is trying to help you and extricate you out of a difficult situation. You just show them the hand and reject their advice and yell at them for good measure. It's an act of self-sabotage. Sammoha is that which is an act of self-sabotage. It is very, very clear from this. So sammoha means self-sabotage. And then gurunapi akroshati. Then sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Shastra acharya upadesha hita samskara janitayaha smritehe syat vibhramaha. भ्रंश स्मृति उत्पत्ति निमित्त प्राप्तौ अनुत्पत्ति So this is some moha delusion arises. From that arises the confusion regarding to the about the memory. And what is that confusion? Very beautifully it says, and that memory which is what is that the that memory and that mind which has already been purified by the Shastra and then Acharya, with the help of the direction of the Guru, Upadesha, means the teaching of the Shastra by the Acharya, Upadesha, Hita Samskara. Hita Samskara means lot of wonderful self-affirming. Hita means that which helps. So that's why I said Guru is Hitaishi, means the one who desires Hita for you. Shastra only wants the best for you. Guru only wants the best for you. Acharya and Shastra, the mind that has already been purified by the Acharya, by the Shastra, by the Upadesha. Samskara Janitaya. So samskara means the Shastra has worked on this person. Shastra has worked to give good samskaras, means good affirmations about who one is, what is one's place in the world, what is this knowledge, what is ajnanam, all these things. Janitayaha means born of. So a buddhi, a memory, the memories that are born of the proper assimilation of the Shastra along with the Acharya, etc., the memories that are born. Meaning there were earlier bad memories that were created. And, vasanas that were there have been replaced by samskaras. So good memories have come, meaning I have recognized who I am. That's a recollection, pratyabhijna. That's a recognition of myself as Satchidananda, thanks to Acharya teaching, thanks to the Shastra teaching, thanks to Gurukula, everything. All the things that I have worked for till now, what happens? Bye bye. That is what is called Smriti Bhramsha. So vibhramaha means, so in this situation, even though the samskaras are there, the memory fails to reproduce those samskaras when you need them the most. When you need them the most, the memory has packed its bag and fled the scene like a culprit, taking with it all the teachings, all the connection, with the acharya and everything. And all the dharma, adharma, viveka, aviveka, everything, karya, akarya, everything it has taken. The person is no longer able to discriminate. So what happened? What happened to all this teaching if I cannot get hold of it when I need it the most? That is the whole idea. That is why this has to be stopped at the level of the fancy itself. Because it could well be that even a person who has been attending the Gita classes is what? Is laid is waylaid by all these difficulties and by the anger and by the this one by the loss of memory, etc., etc. Smriti utpatti nimitta praptau anutpattihi. So even under conditions that are favorable, even standing right in front of the Guru, one forgets what is the reason for this. The memory fails to resonate, the memory fails to produce this. And then he concludes, Tataha smriti bhramshat buddhehe nashaha. From this loss of one's own, sankalpa, etc., memory, results the ruin of the power of logic. No logic. Buddhi means logic. Tarka, reason, gone. Karya, akarya, vishaya, viveka, अयोग्यता अंतःकरणस्य बुद्धेः नाशः उच्यते. So the inability of the antahkarana to discern the right and wrong is called buddhinasha. And buddhinashat what happens? Pranashyati. तावदेव हि पुरुषः यावद् अन्तःकरणं तदीयं कार्यविषय विवेकयोग्यं तद् योग्यत्वे नष्टः एव पुरुषः भवति. When the reasoning is destroyed, the person is also destroyed. The person is, the person means is worthy of being called a person until the time they possess the power to distinguish between right and wrong. Otherwise, they are an animal. Yeah. So when the right and wrong distinction has completely gone, they are as good as animals. More we'll see next week. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you. Good morning, good night, wherever you are. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Swamini.